Now, a decision by Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to quit West Africa's economic and political bloc, ECOWAS, has come as a shock to many in the region, but not a surprise. This move could reverse decades of regional integration, leaving millions of people in limbo. The three junta-led countries jointly announced their departure at the end of January, accusing ECOWAS of abandoning its founding ideals. They also say that their regional organization has become a threat to member states.
Celebrating the ECOWAS exit in Niamey. But for such a dramatic move, this wasn't the biggest of crowds in Niger's capital. Hours earlier, in Mali, the military government announced the joint decision.
Their Excellencies will be taking full historical responsibility and responding to the expectations, concerns and aspirations of their populations. They've decided in full sovereignty to withdraw Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger from the economic community of West African states without delay.
But ECOWAS membership rules says a withdrawal from the bloc will take a year to finalize, and the move will have wide-ranging practical implications.
The passport we use is a community passport. It's an ECOWAS passport. So if you have this passport, you can travel freely in all ECOWAS member states without a visa. But now with Niger's withdrawal from ECOWAS, we're wondering what's going to happen to this passport.
Cross-border trade will be hit too, already affected by ECOWAS sanctions imposed after the coups. People are feeling the pinch, and essential food is taking weeks to arrive.
We are suffering under the high cost of food. We no longer know where to look. Only Allah can help us. We are taking a real hit. Also with the unemployment among young people, we are tired of this suffering. Of course, we support the regime 100%, but please, they must find solutions to make life easier.
As tensions grew with ECOWAS, the three countries formed their own defense pact and established their own alliance of Sahel states. This part of the Sahel has become a global epicenter of attacks by violent extremists, and there are worries for stability there. And the West is uneasy about Russia's growing influence in the region. ECOWAS says it regrets the withdrawal and wants to see a diplomatic solution to the situation.
So the question is, how big of a blow is this to ECOWAS? I asked Emmanuel Bensah Jr. He's an ECOWAS and AU analyst based in Accra, Ghana.
It is really, in the event that it happens, it really will be a huge blow because you don't leave an institution that you have been part of for almost 50 years, 49 years in May. Just suddenly leave like that. It has consequences for staff. Staff will have to be sacked because they'll no longer be members of ECOWAS. The institutions that are within the ECOWAS institutions that are within these countries, West Africa Health Organization, for example, is in Burkina Faso. ECOWAS volunteer schemes in Burkina Faso, and ECOWAS, the ECOWAS Health Agency has been in Burkina Faso since 1987. Since the 80s. So imagine moving that institution that has been around since 87 to locate another ECOWAS institution and move the staff and everyone else that has been there since all those years to another, plus the intermarriages, plus challenges with visas. It's a huge logistical headache that I think these three countries need to think through a lot more clearly.
You are somehow giving me a vibe of you don't think these three countries will see it through to leave the ECOWAS bloc. Is that what you're trying to suggest here?
Yes, yes. In many ways, I'm trying to suggest that as well, because when I was reflecting over my notes as well, I can tell you that when it's a little bit rich also coming from countries like Mali. In 2012, when the civil war broke out, ECOWAS tried its very best to try and get ECOWAS troops into to try and stabilize the condition in Mali, and went as far as the United Nations Security Council in September 2012 to try and get Chapter 7 authorization to send troops and intervene calmly and peacefully in Mali. So ECOWAS has made a lot of efforts for countries like Mali. It was until January 2013 when the French went in with Operation Serval that all that was scuppered. So those who have been working long enough with ECOWAS know that there's been efforts to actually help Mali. So seeing Mali kind of bite ECOWAS back in the tail like this, for me, I think it's a lot of grandstanding. Yes, you have challenges with what the French have done and other challenges that are exogenous to ECOWAS, but nonetheless, I think you must reflect on a bit on what ECOWAS has done in the past before you go ahead making such grandstanding gestures.
ECOWAS is primarily a free trade area, right? What will the pullout mean for trade in the region?
It's going to be huge. It's going to be quite challenging for the region because as a free trade area, there are preferences on tariffs, imports, cost at the ports and all these things. When these three do eventually get out of ECOWAS, withdraw from ECOWAS, they will be treated as foreigners, as third party. Therefore, it will mean that any business that they want to do with the rest of the ECOWAS countries, they'll have to pay more at the ports, they have to pay more tariffs, and so on and so forth. They actually be no longer part of the free trade area, and therefore everything that they do will be costly to them because then they no longer enjoy the benefits that the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, that regional mechanism that allows the free trade area to work under ECOWAS, it will no longer benefit them. So I honestly think they need to be thinking twice.
Well, I hope they are listening to you. One of the other main issues to consider is democracy, right? I mean, all these three nations are junta-led governments. ECOWAS had been pushing them to return to civilian rule. Now that they are pushing to get out of the regional bloc, will democracy ever return, you think?
I'm not sure whether that's going to happen anytime soon. You know, at the end of the day, democracy is not a perfect system. It has its challenges as well. But I think West Africa has demonstrated that it has been doing it quite well for a while with all the challenges that have come with it. And these three countries must realize that they cannot be pariahs, permanent pariahs to the international and the regional system, or even the continental system. Because the AU, both the AU and the ECOWAS, has come such a long way on developing normative practices that will help deepen democracy and encourage information sharing, early warning systems on peace and security, all these things that will make democracy a lot more qualitative. That's all going to fall by the wayside in the event that they... And I want to believe that after a while, it is the people who seem to be very in favor of this idea of the junta. It will be them who will finally say that we don't want these guys anymore because we're tired. We actually want to be like Nigeria, Ghana, and all the Anglophone countries that are doing their very best to manage democracy.
We'll see how this plays out. Emmanuel Bensah Jr., ECOWAS and AU analyst, thanks for your insights.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.